The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Supernatural. Magic. Ghosts. You have all of it. Bigfoot. Extraterrestrial. Psychic.
The Calling 2.0.
Woo! All right, how is everyone tonight? I am so excited. I am on my own tonight because Jerry decided to have a storm right before we got ready. So, without further ado, here's me, and we have a wonderful special guest tonight. I am so very excited. We have Bishop Rita Strugala. Did I say it right?
You did good. You did real
Okay,
good.
it's like a gala, Strugala. Okay, and I guess we should start right. I have a whole list of questions, but I thought I would let you introduce yourself to our listeners and just tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay. Well, I am Bishop Rita Strugala of the Celtic Cross Old Catholic Church. And I also am the chief exorcist for the Catholic Church. And I'm also the chief exorcist for Confraternity of St. Michael the Archangel, as well as the Sword of St. Michael.
Okay, wow. Big list of titles there. There will be a test on all of that. So we will see who gets that right. Wow. Okay, so I want to dig right into it because you were on the Legion of Exorcists. I'm already getting it wrong because that's a mouthful as well. But, and the show was basically about exorcists and bishops and priests all sitting around telling some of the most memorable cases, and then we had reenactments and really took us back there again visually. So I want to know, since you were the only woman, do you receive slack for being a female exorcist?
From my castmates or just in general?
In general, I would say.
I have in the past, not so much now. It is what it is. I do what I do and honestly don't really care what anybody else thinks. I'm doing to a higher power, and I don't hear much of that at all anymore. It used to be a lot more taboo than it is now. And I think too with being a woman and that I'm not the only woman that does this, though we are few, very few. And we've that's one of the things that was so cool about this show was I didn't realize what it would mean to other women that have this calling. I guess I was the only one that thought I was cursed with this calling. I don't know. But I've heard from so many that have said, I saw you on there. You are such an inspiration. How did you get through? I've been trying. I've got this calling. I can't get through. How did you get through? So I've actually started a school of exorcism for women.
Wow. Okay, good to know. We'll get that information as well. So is there anything that you do differently versus men? Is there more like a female touch, a softer side to exorcisms, say maybe the way men do it?
Not with me. My mentors, I had 3 mentors. One was an exorcist bishop and the other 2 were exorcist priests. And I learned from them. And I also know I truly believe everybody has gifts from God. Everybody has gifts. Whether or not you choose to develop that gift, that's up to y'all, kind of thing. And so I know where mine is at. It's not as much as some, and it's not as little as others. But I really do. you know, I really embrace that gift. And, you know, it's with what I have this gift where actually if you're in front of me and you have a possession, I will see your eyes go black.
Wow.
If you have a lot of them in you, your eyes will not go back to the regular color. And then I know you have a lot going on. If it's like just one or two or something like that, usually it's just a quick flash, I see it, kind of thing. So when I was learning from them, that was my gift. They didn't have that, but the other gift that I found out I had later, I didn't realize I had either, was I get very angry, not at the person, but at that demon that is occupying their body. I can feel it. It makes me angry. And no, I am not kind to it. I do not give a gentle touch. I don't. I tell the person right up front, this is what you can expect. If I say anything harsh, you let it go right past you. I'm not talking to you. If I'm talking to you, I will say your name. And that, you know, seems to work very well. They know that I'm calling out what's in them.
Okay, so I do know a little bit about exorcisms, and I've had to deal with the demonic a few times at my house.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
yeah, and I'm here to talk about, I mean, not talk about it, but I'm here to living proof that I got through it, but they almost took me. So I know that they don't always like to divulge their name, because at that point, if you've got their name, now you can really go in, you know, full guns blazing. So how often do you get the name, or do they divulge it, or do you know, or?
I actually go in and tell them I don't care who they are. I don't care when they got there. The reason being is because if you think about it, they are the biggest liars there are.
Right.
And so if you're going to tell me that your name is Bubba, you are the big bad demon of Bubba. If I believe that and I start calling Bubba out,
Yeah.
and Bubba's really waiting in the wings to come in as a summoning, because I now just summoned it by calling it.
Got it.
I don't do that. I just tell it I don't care who it is. It's leaving 10 minutes before I do.
Right. No need to get personal there, right?
Yeah.
So, aside from black eyes, what other kinds of eyes have you seen? Like rolling back? What other? Is that another trait as well?
Sometimes some people it is. You can see them a lot of times. I have seen them where they almost look like snake's eyes. Their pupils will change.
Vertical pupils?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Let me hear. So what was it like working with Eli Roth on the Legions of Exorcists?
It was great. I mean, I only got to meet him the last day we were there, and that and I've got to be absolutely honest, I did not have a clue who he was. I don't watch horror movies.
Right.
I just don't, because I don't want to give them anything to use against me. So I don't want them knowing what scares me, that kind of thing. So I don't watch that kind of stuff at all.
Yeah.
And so I honestly did not know who he was. And then after they said that, you know, well, this is the producer and everything, I thought maybe I better look him up. And I was very surprised at how prolific his career has been.
Right.
He was so nice. He was very nice. We met him and he just kept saying, I can't believe how quickly the six of you all just, you know, we just gelled real well.
Oh.
We just, I mean, they're my, you know, the guys are all my brothers now. That's just, you know, and that's just the way it felt the whole time we were there. And there was no ego or anything like that with any of us.
Right. And I watched all the episodes beforehand, because I just like to watch all the paranormal stuff, you know, and then I realized you and I were already Facebook friends. And I'm like, well, now I feel silly. But yeah, it was really, really interesting, you know, and he, of course, comes from an angle of, you know, movie maker. And so it's really very cinematic. And then the reenactments and things like that. But he does seem to have, you know, an eye for paranormal and things like that, and an interest to tell the stories, you know, more from a movie maker's perspective, and just really give it, you know, a little bit more. He gets to be creative and put in a lot of, you know, the creativity as far as making it visually stimulating to watch. So,
Right.
going back to your brothers now that you have, so all these guys came from various walks of life and locations, and you guys just kind of got thrown together, and probably the first day of shooting, I imagine, or did you have some time to get to know each other beforehand?
Um, it was a long process. It was about 2 years in the making before we ever got together and started shooting, because you had the pandemic going on and all of that. So almost all of our meetings were by Zoom kind of thing. But I mean, it was usually with me and a producer kind of thing. And I got to meet the rest of the cast. I guess it was like a week before we were going to fly out to start shooting. And
Okay.
so they had all of us on at one time, and that was our first meeting.
And the chairs, that was the main set, right? And you how long did that take to
Well,
shoot those episodes?
It actually wasn't a set. It was actually an old church, and
Oh,
it was a gorgeous church. I've never seen one like. It's just beautiful. But
wow.
it's up on a hill above Old Pasadena, in California. It was just gorgeous.
Wow. That's my old stomping grounds. I used to
Is
live
it?
in Pasadena off Colorado. Now I'm like, where is that church? I'm like, man, how did I miss that? Oh, wait, it's not on Lake Avenue, is it?
I can tell you the name of the church, but I don't.
Oh,
don't-
it was like literally probably 3 blocks from my house. There was a beautiful church, and I stopped in one day. I sat on the steps. I never went inside. But now I'm like, yeah, because Pasadena's old. So there's, yeah, what's the name of the church?
The Church of the Angels.
Oh, I love the name. All right, I'm gonna have to Google that there and see. That would be so funny if it was the one right down the street from my house. When you were sitting and filming, obviously it's a church, so it probably has certain energy, but was there ever some weird mishaps or things going on in the church?
The church itself felt just so peaceful.
Okay.
It felt wonderful. The hotel now, yeah, we had some stuff go on at the hotel.
What? Do
Yeah,
tell.
yeah.
What happened at the hotel?
Oh Lord, I think we all had things come visit us at our rooms and that, but that's pretty normal, honestly.
Tested, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. They knew why we were there, and you know, the second time I was there when we were doing the very last bit of it, in my room, I know I was sitting over on. They had like a sofa in a sitting area over there, and I was sitting over there and I was reading through something, and all of a sudden the blinds over there on the wall. It's one of those where you have to pull the ropes.
Yeah.
Go out. Well, all of a sudden something pulled the ropes and the blinds went halfway up, and I just looked at it and I didn't say a word. I just looked back on, started reading. All of a sudden it crashed down to the ground, and then it pulled itself up again. And I'm like, "Would you quit?" Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's the thing about demons, you can't put anything past them. They are so aware. I guess any entity that's not from this earth, whether it's angels, we don't just have to go to demons. Everything is aware. They read your mind. They know your next move. There's no sneaking up on anybody there. So I'm sure they just kind of wanted to start rattling you and saying, hey, we know you're coming. And then that's when that testing starts, because they really like to test your strength, your faith, your sanity. They start coming after you and saying, hey, let me see if I can start breaking this person down, or if we're going to have a battle on our hands here.
I think it was the first night we were there at the hotel. I think it was the next morning when we went to go start filming, because it was really long days. They got literally 6 weeks of filming done in 4 days.
Wow.
And it was a lot. We were there for a very long time, but I remember that Reverend Sean Whittington, he had brought a statue that he has of Saint Michael. He brought it with him, and that night while he was sleeping, something broke the wings off of it.
What?
Yeah.
How rude!
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
He was asking me. He said, "Do you think I should glue this back on?" I said, "No, don't do it. And at least not here. Don't let them rattle you, So
Yeah. Well, maybe Saint Michael, the statue will grow some new wings miraculously. Could you imagine? Wow. Yeah. I mean, coming from Hollywood days when I worked in the movies, it's 12 to 16-hour days. So with a little break, and then you run off and then you're right back again. So well, at least they gave you comfy chairs. Oh, were they from the 1800s?
Pretty much.
Torture chairs. Well, they look comfy anyway. I mean, it looked like you guys were just sitting around the campfire having, a good session there. All right. So, in terms of exorcisms, how many would you say you do per year in person? I guess let's break down in person first.
All I do are in person.
Okay.
I don't do anything over the computer or anything like that. But I have it really depends. Man, the first year that I did it, it was, gosh, we were doing 2 a week.
Okay.
And after the first year of that, it was just, I mean, it was so hard to get your energy back in time for the next one. And so I kind of got burned out and I stepped back from it a little bit, slowed it down. I've done over, I don't know how many, I never looked to see how many per year thing.
Yeah.
But I know it's been over 200
Okay.
plus cases we've done.
Now, since you started, would you say that has, gradually or quickly, progressively increased per year, each year?
Yeah, had I not stepped back from it, yes. I had stepped back. I've got a lot going on in my own personal life and that, so
Yeah.
I've kind of taken a step backwards because of health of people in my family.
Yeah.
So, but normally it's, I would say there's probably every 2-3 days that we get communications from people that need help, kind of thing, and
Wow.
try to get them through it as best we can. It's exorcism. People seem to think that that's like the first line of defense. It's not. It's the last thing you want to do.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, when people are calling an exorcist, stuff has gotten real. It is hitting the fan. And, and this is the thing about possessions and things like that. You cannot call the police. There's really no one to call. When I was going through it, I was just feeling like the silliest, loneliest person at the same time because I'm like, who do I call? I don't know. And then finally I reached out to David Schrader, who put me in touch with somebody, but I was like, I don't even know where to go. And I'm sitting here alone dealing with this. You feel silly telling people because who's going to believe you? And then you don't know where to get the help. And so it becomes, it really does become an act of desperation. And when they're calling an exorcist or someone like you, then we know that this is it before it takes over. And people sometimes often die from it, whether it's starvation or they take their own life, so it's very, very serious when you get called in, and the amount of trust they have to bestow upon you that you're going to fix everything.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's heavy. And then I mean, I know for me, being a medium and I deal with death and things like that, it's heavy for me on a different level, and I know that sometimes I take off to Disneyland or, you have to go find that balance. So what do you do to kind of shut all that out for a minute and get back to Rita and, have some light and, peacefulness in your life? What do you do?
It's very important to ground yourself and do so often. I'd like to say I do it as much as I tell everybody else they should do it.
Yeah.
But life gets in the way. But I do grounding yourself is absolutely essential. Just getting back to who you are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me, that can be as little as mowing the lawn. I mean, just getting back to the earth itself, gardening. Anything like that for me, the ocean, putting your feet in the sand, walking through a forest, anything like that will ground me. And it's so important to do that. It really is. And to detox, to take any and all negative stuff that comes at us, everybody daily.
Yeah.
I mean, arguments with other people, that's negativity. Having bad thoughts about people and that, you don't realize you're doing that. And it's toxic.
Right.
So to get rid of that, you get a much better outlook on, what's going on in your own life and that, and you're just more able to, when somebody puts something in front of you and says, look, I'm desperate, this is what's happening to me in my life right now, it just centers you. It just, okay, so here we are, this is what we need to start with, this is what we got to do. that kind of thing. But I do that. I go back to Mother Nature. That's my
Absolutely. And this is just not just for, Rita's field, my
Oh
field.
no, everybody
This is
should.
for everybody. Everybody should do this daily. People have a lot of what I call office funk, where there's just funk
Yes.
people at the office. Bad day, you bring that home, argument at home, kids, husband, wife, whatever. This is just something you should do. Connect with nature, whether it's the ocean. I prefer the trees, in the forest. I just feel
Yeah.
there's something alive. The beach, it's just sand and water. It's always the same, no matter where you go, it's sand and water. But forest, it's like it's alive. It's got secrets. It's just magical. And that works for anybody, just get out there, bathe. I guess they call it forest bathing now. Just really take that in. It's consistent. When your life is chaotic, there's something consistent about the forest and the ocean. And just get out there, put your feet in the water, the moss, the whatever, the ground. And it's so true. And I agree also, Rita, about getting back to just some normalcy, routine. Once you've done all this, which is very out of the norm,
Yes.
it's nice for you to remember, oh yeah, I think I'm going to bake a cake, or it's just something that gives you back to you, and you get to be you again. So that's so important. Okay, so who generally goes with you on the exorcisms? Do you have an assistant or someone else?
Yes, I have my best friend. Actually, she's been with me through this for the last decade, and she actually has. We're both the vessel that they use. Christ uses me. I can feel him when he steps in me when I'm doing an exorcism, and Saint Michael steps into her, and so the two of us, we pretty much tag team the demons, and we've got other people. In fact, they've just moved to Florida back a couple years ago. Very much. But they've been through a lot of exorcisms with us as well.
Wow.
So, and interestingly enough, a lot of the women that have been contacting me about joining the school are from Florida as well. So I'm going to be sending their way. So yeah.
I don't know if I'm like, the whole time you've been sitting here, I'm like, oh, should I join the school? It's not that I don't want to, but I do house cleansings on a very mellow level. Like I just energetically change the house and make it pleasant. Luckily I don't really deal too much with demons. I do deal with attachments, but I can handle that because I don't know if I want to go fighting demons. I'm going to leave that out to all the other Florida women. I think they're badasses, so they're going to take care of that, and I will just run around like a little fairy and spread glitter everywhere. So, okay, well, we know when you've got your bestie right there, I guess really afterwards, you guys can't grab a cup of coffee and go, you'll never guess what happened, because she was right there along with you. She's like, I know. I was rolling up my sleeves too. So.
No, we do go out to eat afterwards though, because you're starving after all that, putting out all that energy. You just
oh my gosh,
depleted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely, that's the first thing we do is go out and get something to eat.
I love that. I love that. I used to do that with my team too. When we'd get done with a haunted house, I'm like, let's go just visit and talk about everything that happened. So that's nice. A nice decompression as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So how do you prepare when you're going into battle there? Let's take us through some of the steps that are going to happen there to become Rita, the superhero.
All right. Well, it starts with prayer with me. Definitely starts with prayer. It starts with putting on the full armor of God. Just kind of meditation, do some meditation that usually will fast because it, as it said in the Bible, Jesus told some of the disciples was, that some of the demons, the only way you can get them out is with fasting and prayer. Okay. So we do that. And that's another reason why we're starving by the time we're done.
Right.
But that's pretty much it is I know what we're going to do. I have a battle plan. I usually speak to my guides. They tell me what I need to know and what I'm coming in, how many there are in there, what type of demon it is, what I can feel. They make me feel what it's doing to that person. So I know where it's lodged at.
Oh my gosh. So do the demons pick like different parts of the body just to sit at?
Yes, yes. Some
Oh,
people, there, a lot of them, they'll have like really bad stomach pains, where it's basically got its talons in their stomach.
wow.
Sometimes it's the neck, sometimes it's up here by the heart. Um, I just, wherever it is, they make me feel it, and that's where we go after it.
Wow. Well, okay, yeah, that just sprung out like a million questions because I've always just thought the demon just entered and was jumping around in the whole body. So it specifically picks a place to.
Some do. If they've been in there a long time, yeah, they'll do that. If it's ones that have just, recently got in there, sometimes they don't have a good foothold yet.
Ah,
But if it's been in there, like a lot of people have had them since childhood, those are hard to get out because they've been there so long. They believe they have the authority to be there. And it's breaking that authority and getting them to give up that place. So it can be, it can take a long time.
right. I mean, it's like uprooting a bad, not even a weed, but like if you're ripping up a tree, you don't just cut it. The roots are very deep and spread out, and we got to remove all those roots and everything. Wow, that is intense. So generally, if it is lodged in a place in the body, and people are having pain and things, once that's removed, will that pain also obviously be gone, or will that
Yeah.
continue?
Yes, no, that once you remove that demon from that place, they will not continue to have those pains and that.
Wow, and it's almost immediate. Once that's gone, it's like, oh, I feel better, you know.
Yeah.
So how real is it when I see in the movies they're throwing up and vomiting? Is that a normal thing?
See it a lot.
You see it a lot. Do you get vomited on? Just
No,
gonna.
it's more, let's see, what is the way to say this? And I don't know if it's just me, because I know it's happened to other exorcists as well, but it's like they will start coughing, and then they will spit up phlegm. And
Okay.
that's actually the mark of the demon coming out of them. So sometimes, they'll be, oh my gosh, over and over and over and over and over again. Just depends on how many demons are in them, but that's a very general way that it usually leaves. Now, if you've got a really, one that's not been there that long or whatever like that, it can be as minute as watching for a body signal, like them lifting a pinky or something like that. It can be very, very, slight.
Right.
That they don't go through all of that. But the ones it's mostly the ones we see are people that have been plagued with this for many years. And, it's just a part of how it comes out of them.
Okay. So what is the most amount of demons you pulled off of one person?
Oh, Lord.
That many, huh? No.
Let's say several legions.
Well, a legion is how many?
Anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000.
Oh, okay. I gotta wrap my head around that for a minute.
Exactly.
Many legions, so close to anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000. And these are all little tiny. I mean, I can't even.
Not all.
How does that work?
Some of those are like the really big bad ones that are sitting back. No, they're not the ones that are going to come out first. There's no way. They will send out all their minions first to fight you and wear you down. And then the last ones are going to be the biggest and baddest ones when you are the most tired you've ever been in your life.
Yeah.
They're not going to come out first. It never works that way. So you will get, many, many demons will come out. A lot of times, if there's a lot of the minions in there, a lot of them will come out at one time,
Okay.
kind of thing. So, but, it takes quite a while. It can take quite a while.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm just like getting exhausted hearing about that. Wow. Okay. So, what is the strangest case that ever happened? Like let's say maybe, I don't know, physically something happened or something presented itself or showed itself and you're like, I didn't expect that?
Well, I'd say one of the strangest ones was a lady who called me who had just got out of the psych ward. I didn't know that right away, but she called me and her question was, can you come down and exorcise my cat? I think my cat is possessed. And I said, could you tell me a little bit more about what's going on in your life? And she said, oh, my cat used to love me all the time, but now every time I walk in the room, it starts attacking me. It doesn't want to be anywhere near me. She said, I had to make it an outdoor cat after it's been an indoor cat all this time, and I don't understand. And then she had kittens, and now the kittens are starting to attack me every time I walk in the room. And I'm going, yep. I said, so tell me what else is going on in your life? Well, she said her boyfriend had to call the police like a week ago because he said that I was beating up on him. She said, I don't have any remembrance of that at all. That's a big mark of demons right there, is they either you don't remember what they made you do or they push you aside and you can't do anything about it anyway. You're watching it, but you can't do anything. Yeah. She didn't have any memory of it. And he had to call the police, and it took 6 of them to get her into a squad car, brought her to the hospital where she attacked the ER doctors. Oh. The ER doctors and the police had to take her down to the psych ward. She was there for a week, and they found nothing but depression and anxiety. And I knew I could feel it the whole time I was talking to her. I knew what was going on in her. Now, she pretty much talked like a 12-year-old. I knew that she had like had been through some very bad trauma.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But to make a long story short, we got there and we found out that it was the girlfriend of a gang member, and it was 2 rival gangs, and we were like right in the middle of both of them.
Yikes.
And they're sitting right outside, and if we make one wrong move, we're not getting out of there.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty incredible.
Frightening. That's frightening.
But we went through a lot with that. Unfortunately, the young lady, once we took a little bit break in there because there were so many, and she was just getting so wore down, and that because they will wear you down. And so we let her have a little break, and she was telling me about her mother, and it was just heartbreaking, the trauma that girl had gone through. And she had a twin sister at one time. Her mother injected both of them with Drano, trying to kill them, and did kill her sister. Just horrible things. Just one after another. Her mother's still in prison and probably will be for life, I believe.
Wow.
So she had a lot of that she was trying to deal with as well. And it was just, it was heartbreaking. The whole case was just, but that was probably the oddest one is to have somebody call you and say their cat's possessed.
Right. When it was really quite the opposite. I feel like the cat was reacting to whatever she was carrying around, but because she was so clueless about it, she I mean, of course, these things are tricksters, so she's not thinking anything is wrong with her. Exactly. Is everyone else.
Yeah. Well, and can you imagine how bad it had to be for a gang member to call the police to come get her off him?
Say that, at this point, the demons are the least of your worry. I'm more afraid of the gang members. Oh my gosh. So, what do your friends and family, I mean, obviously you've got your bestie by your side there, but what do your friends, other friends and family think about what you do? What was their initial reaction when you first said, hey, I'm going to do this?
Are you insane? It's like, why would you do that? And honestly, anybody that knows me knows this was not what I wanted to do. Not ever wanted to do. Right. And I resisted this calling with everything in me for a good year. And every time we'd go to do a case or something like that, there was always at the end, something would happen where there was no other explanation. And it was like, I could hear the Lord saying, see, I've got your back. And it was like, yeah, but I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do. I stayed all my life. I tried so hard, even though I had groups of my own, paranormal groups and that, I stayed so far away from the darkness. If I thought anything was going in that direction, I would try to find somebody who was I felt was qualified to handle that. And I was not that person. So when I realized that that's the way he was pushing me, I dug in my heels big time. And I'm like, no, don't want to do this. But then came that one absolutely epic case that I could no longer say no. There was no way I could say no. He had our backs. It was just the most epic. I mean, I to this day, to think about all the things that happened during that case. I mean, where I started with doing a house cleansing, had the lady come in with me, and I started saying things I never say. I've done hundreds of house cleansings.
Right.
I always say about the same thing because it works.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm starting to say stuff. It's in my voice and it's coming out of my mouth, but I'm sitting there going, where's this coming from? Because I wasn't consciously the one saying it, but I was thinking at the same time, why don't I say this? This is so powerful.
Right.
I knew it was the higher good that was doing it, but it was things like that kept happening during this whole time. And it's like, you know, obviously they're there with me, obviously. And at the end of the night, there was a huge storm. There had been storms that whole day, and every time something would happen, you know, there was one lady that went into possessed mode right in front of me, and I had to do something about it. It was my worst nightmare. It was what I tried so hard to stay away from, and there it was. What are you going to do?
Right.
And so I just did what all I could think to do was tell her, you have to cast it out. Give it over to Jesus, cast it out. And finally she did that. And I ended up taking them after that. And the storm that was going on during that, I mean, I was shouting at the top of my lungs to be heard over the thunder and the lightning and the wind and the rain. Doors wide open. We're standing right in front of it. And I'm just, it was crazy. And the minute she cast that out, the second she cast that out, it just stopped. Storm stopped, wind stopped, rain stopped, everything stopped.
That's insane. Sounds like something out of a movie, but it's real life, right?
Then we went back up to where it all began, and another storm. Here comes another storm. We're walking across a field to get to this area to set up. I was setting up a medicine circle to get in and have everybody detox, put it in the ground, neutralize it, bring the light of God into them so that they're feeling better and they're not going home with all this toxic stuff in them. We get up there and the wind, I could see the rain right here. And all I could think was, just kept saying, please don't strike us with lightning, Father God. Please don't strike us with lightning. Because I mean, it was storming all over again. And I know we're going to get soaked and I just don't care at this point.
Right.
We get up there, we get in the circle, and I had everybody sit down and I'm blocking out everything. I'm just telling them, release all that into the ground, push it way into the earth.
Yeah.
Take the light from God, bring it down through you, all the way through you, fill you up. And all of a sudden, I just like looked around and there were 11 witnesses to this, 11. And I looked around and I said, do y'all feel that? This storm was going on around the trees are like bent over. There's lightning, the rain, nothing was happening inside our circle. No wind, no rain, none of that. You could see it right outside the circle, but it wasn't. And we all looked up at the same time. And there was nothing but a circle of stars over us.
Wow.
And that's when I finally said, you know what? I get it, Lord. I get it. I'll do it.
I'm born to do this. Yay, I'm going to do it.
So that's
wow.
how. And so I was never like, oh, that's what I want to be when I grow up. No.
Yeah, people ask me that as well. They're like, so have you always been a psychic? And I said, no. I said, in fact, I was busy living my best life. And then suddenly, these gifts come and I'm like, I'm not ready for them. So I pushed them away for a long time. And then finally I was like, everything was aligned and right. And I said, okay, I accept it. I'm going to do it now. But yeah, if you've got a job to do from above, they're not stopping. Nobody else is getting hired until you take that position, and they know that you're cut out for it.
Well, and it's the whole, how long are you going to tell him no?
Right.
I always had this on me too, was how many more times are you going to say no? How many more times is he going to take that? But he was so kind, so patient, so gentle. And I was just, I put all that pressure on me. That was on me.
Well, I think it's because you don't want to disappoint, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when God and the universe is your boss, holy cow. I mean, I'm sorry, like you don't want to mess up, you know?
Exactly.
And I think, you know, that goes for me too. I was just like, wow, you know, I'm so afraid of making a mistake. And then I'm like, okay, well, you know, to make a mistake is human. We're going to make
Thank
mistakes.
you.
It's
Yeah.
okay. I'm not 100% all the time. No psychic is, no person is. So I'm just going to do my best, and I hope everyone up there is happy.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so we've got some questions here. I've got the chat over here on the side. So we've got somebody asking. Let's see what the name. Well, the question is, what makes a demon pick a certain person?
Usually there's a few different things that can be happening here. You may have accidentally let them in and not realized you did that. There's those who actually invite them in and then, have change of heart. And by then it's a little too late. There's also where it could be actually be a generational curse kind of thing that actually comes to each generation of the family. So there's a lot of different things that can be happening. And let me tell you how easy it is to let in a demon.
Yeah, let's everyone listen here, pay close attention to this.
Just how easy it is.
This is whatever Rita's getting ready to tell you. I need you to do the opposite, okay? All right.
It's so easy. Here's how easy it is. Have you ever had a knock on your door and you just told somebody, come on in?
That's for the people.
That's a problem. That can be exactly what that is. And you just invited it in. I've done it myself. Thankfully, it wasn't a demon, but I've done that myself. You don't think about it. You think, oh, well, I told my friend if they, if they want to come over later, come on over. You expect that's who it is. Somebody knocks on the door and you say, oh, come on in.
Now somebody, is that metaphoric, or is somebody literally coming in the door that might have the attachment and it jumps on you?
Either way.
Okay.
Either way, once you've invited it in, and which is what you're doing when you say, come on in, you don't even have to open that door. Here we are. So and yes, they can come in on someone else as well. If they think that you are a weaker specimen than what they currently have, that you're a better mark for them, they can leave that one and go into you. It's unfortunately they're diabolical. They will use whatever in they can get. Now, of course, you've got other things, seances, Ouija boards, that kind of thing, spirit boards, whatever that I clean up on aisle 5 happens all the time. So there's they're exactly what you said before. They are watching you. Now, I've had people say, can they read your minds? No, unless they are inside you. Then they have your data banks, all your data banks. Okay. If they are not inside you, they cannot read your mind. However, they will stay around you and watch what you say, what you do, what your body language is, all of that stuff. They know what you're thinking because you're telling people on the phone. You're telling your mom, you're telling, whoever. They don't have to be inside of you at that point. They know what you got going on. So you really have to be careful about what you do and what you say, because they will take it very literally.
Right. So, now in the case of, I want to do paranormal investigating, and sometimes they say that demons mimic children.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think, well, where did the children go? How many of the ghosts are actually children, or are none of them children, or are some of them children, or which ones? Now I'm like, I don't want to talk to children ghosts anymore, because I don't know if I'm being tricked. So how does one know if this is a real child ghost I'm talking to, or a demon pretending to be a child ghost?
For me, I can feel the difference in the energy.
Okay.
I can feel bad energy. To me, feels like static, kind of like when you walk across the carpet in the wintertime and you shock somebody, touch them. That's what it feels like to me. If neutral energy or good energy, I don't have that icky feeling to it.
Yeah.
But I find a lot of times, like with children, I'd say more times than not, it is a demon that is acting like a child, that it's not actually a child. There are children that are trapped, that could be trapped by this demon, and they can take their likeness and project that out there, and you could be talking to them.
Right.
Now, when we cleanse a place, and I know you do this as well, when you cleanse a place and that, you can let those souls go once you've got that place cleansed.
Okay.
And so that's what I typically will do. But yeah, they will take children a lot of time because they're the most vulnerable. They
Right.
know that that's what's going to tug at your heartstrings, what's going to make you go, oh, come here. And I have literally, now listen up, guys. This is,
Yeah.
this is crazy, but
One
it
more.
actually happened. This actually happened. We were doing an exorcism on a lady who had several demons in her, who not only accepted them, but made Facebook pages for them.
Wait, what? Okay, hold up.
You could be talking to a demon on Facebook. It's very
Right,
popular.
I'm blocking everyone. That's it. We're done. Unfriended.
That blew my mind. I did not know you could do that. It never even occurred to me.
Who has the time? No. Jeez Louise. I mean, seriously. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit much. That is really, really some crazy things. Now, going back to pets.
Yes.
I mean, can pets get possessed, or is that just more that they get in a mood?
They actually can. They actually can be possessed. It's not, I don't think it's as prevalent as people getting possessed.
Yeah.
But if they really, really want in bad enough, they could do that. There's not much they can't do, honestly.
Yeah, but what would be the point of getting in a pet? Like versus
To get your house.
Oh, and maybe that trust, and then get close to you and then jump in. Okay, here's a crazy one I just came up with because this is how my mind works. Can food get possessed?
Only if I'm eating it. I've never met any possessed food, but then again, you know what? They can possess objects.
Right. Okay, let's go to dolls because dolls is always a dolls, teddy bears, which seem to be on the top of the list. I don't know if you get in a fire truck or a hockey puck, but they seem to love dolls and to make them move. Have you ever had to deal with a possessed doll?
Several, unfortunately.
Uh-oh.
Several. Yes, and they do, because honestly, if you ever look up the history of dolls,
Yeah.
they were actually the whole reason that they were made was for people that died to have their spirit be able to go in one. So yeah, so that they're, yeah, and that's, which is really creepy too. But
Right.
but so yeah, they can do that, and they do. I got one that my sister at the time had gotten from Goodwill, of all places. She liked this little doll that was on the shelf, and it was just this little corn husk doll, had corn husk hair.
Oh my God.
It was weird, and so I didn't like it. I don't like dolls. I never have liked dolls.
Right.
So I that was never on my birthday list. But I noticed that I remember one day going into her room, and she was cutting the doll's hair, or corn husk hair.
She was husking it.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she said, oh, it's getting so long. And I said, what? What do you mean? She said, oh, it grows. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking, okay, so she's like, so I left, and I didn't think any more of it. Well, then it started being where somebody would walk into her room, and it would literally fly off the desk at you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this thing's got to go. This thing. And it did. Its hair would grow. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I took it, I bound it, and I put it in a box, put a lot of blessed salt in there, holy water on it, all this stuff. And we went down to send it to Zappos.
Yes.
And we got down there it was one of these like going postal places where you go down, you can mail something. It wasn't at an actual post office, but it was at a mailing center, and it was in a strip mall. We go down there and we go in, and ladies, she picks it up in the box, is kind of, you can hear it. She goes, "Is there sand in here?" I said, "No, it's fine. Don't worry about it." And she gets it all ready to go. She puts it on the shelf, and as we're walking out the door, all the lights and everything go out. And I said, "When is this?" I said, "When will this package be picked up?" She said, "Oh, 6 o'clock tonight." She said, "Man, I wonder what happened here." I'm looking down the strip, the whole strip is out. I'm like, oh, maybe there was an accident. Somebody hit a power pole or something, didn't think too much more about it. We went back there a couple days later, not there, but to a place right next to it. And she said, my sister said, "I need to get some stamps. Let's go back in that place." So we go back in there, and she goes, "I needed to tell you something." And I said, "What?" She said, "Do you know, as soon as they picked up that box, all the lights came back on?"
Wow. Oh my God.
And I remember that night saying, "I pray to God that there is not a plane crash tonight because of this doll." And it was like a month later, I got in touch with Zaffis and I said, "Hey, were you able to, get a handle on this?" He said, "It's still in the box. I've bound it 3 times now."
Wow. And the Zaffis we're talking about is John Zaffis, who collects, he has a haunted museum and he collects all sorts of goodies. Don't want to get near the energy of that house. But, that doll just really needed to be popped in the microwave with some salt. And then goodbye. No, but seriously, all right, we are coming down to the close. I wanted to talk about your stained glass that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful stuff. I saw it. I took a sneak. I was stalking. Do you ever, here's an idea, I don't know, you probably have done it, because it reminded me, it's interesting that you do this artwork of stained glass, because it reminds me of the churches. And it's like, what a lovely synchronicity and connection. Do you ever recycle any of the stained glass from churches and put it into your work?
I would love to, but it's so expensive.
Yes.
Haven't been able to do that, but I do. I love doing stained glass creations kind of thing, and I do mosaics, and I actually incorporate the two, and that's actually my getaway. That's my escape. So that's what I do on the side.
I love it, but I thought that's so funny, because immediately when I think of stained glass, I just think of all the beautiful churches. They're so ornate, and then the light is shining through and it's on the wall and all the colors. It just always reminds me of something so holy and pure. And, I know some people have it on their front door, but I don't really. To me, that's like a different stained glass. That's not really stained glass. I don't know. It's just colored stuff there on the door. But yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. So, well, let's talk about your social media. How can people get a hold of you if they've got some situation? And in fact, if people want to sign up for exorcism school for ladies, definitely something you guys should look into, because give Rita a break is what I'm saying, and let someone else take over. So let's tell us a little bit more about how that can happen.
All right. Right now, the best way to reach me is on Facebook. It's Bishop Rita Strugala, and we're working on a page for the school right now. We're working on that, and I've got you can reach me at Sword of Saint Michael, which is also a Facebook page, or the Confraternity of Saint Michael the Archangel. All of that's on Facebook. You can reach me if you just put in my name. You'll pull up everything and you'll find me.
Yes. Oops. I love how I typed in the chat here Strugala, and it changed it to Rita Struggle. No, I don't want you to struggle. So let's just correct that. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. And also, of course, all the other social medias. And this, if you guys want to watch the visuals, this will be, of course, on YouTube tomorrow once Jerry gets that fixed. We will we've got a few more minutes, so let's keep chatting. Okay. Okay, I'm just checking my notes. I did go over them, and there was a lot of other things that came up because my gears are always going, and I love hearing from people firsthand, when they whatever careers they have. I just love talking to people and really getting into, because it's like people have an idea, but then we really get to hear in depth, really, and our perception might be completely wrong. Again, what Rita does is extremely intense, and she's always busy, and obviously by now I think people know that demons are very real, and this is something that can happen to anybody. And if they weren't real, we wouldn't have all these exorcists and people of the church working to fight these things. So it's all about trying to stay positive and higher vibrations, so Rita doesn't have to come to your house, but also on a daily basis, if we can practice just gratitude, being a good person, helping each other. We're all here trying to get through life, so, and try to stay away from all that. And if you sense that something is happening, you have that opportunity to turn things around before it gets bad. Because again, possessions come in 3 stages. There's the attachment, there's the oppression, and then there's the possession. So by the time it gets in your house, you can avoid getting it to jump on you.
There's a few things you can do too.
Yeah,
to make
tell
the
us.
house less hospitable to demons, for instance. Like you mentioned, keeping the vibrations high. Some of those things really quickly would be music.
Just like the music that is
Sorry.
the end of our show. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
oh.